Every spring, the Office for Religious and Spiritual Life holds a student baccalaureate speech contest, and we invite graduating seniors to submit speeches to be entered in a contest, the winner of which will be the speaker at today's ceremony. And every year we receive very moving and impressive speeches. Samuel Sinkin's speech was the one that was selected for the ceremony this year. And it's a particularly moving ceremony for me in that I've known Samuel since I started here, his sophomore year, and so have journeyed with him as he has explored his spiritual side. And as you see in his biography in the program, he shares a little bit about what's in store for him after he graduates. I would also like to introduce Sam's family, who's sitting here in the front pew. I'm sure you'll want to talk to them after the ceremony, and as well as talk to Sam. Please welcome Sam Sinkin, our student speaker.
Three years ago, during my sophomore year, right after Christmas break, I was sitting in my bed at 3 in the morning, and I was very much out of touch with reality because I had not slept for about 7 days. My girlfriend, Rachel, was right there with me, and I felt like an unwanted burden. Despite the fact that she had driven hundreds of miles to help me and stayed awake with me for days, I had just told her she didn't care about me. I was so out of touch with my body, she had to tell me when I needed to eat, drink, and go to the restroom, and still, in my mind, she did not care. I was holding a sleeping pill and rolling it around between my fingers, anxiously wondering if I should take it and fall asleep. Rachel was encouraging me to take the sleeping pill, but I was so afraid that she wanted me to take the pill so she could leave. In my mind, as soon as I took the pill and fell asleep, everyone and everything that I cared about would be gone when I woke up the next morning. This is how I began my spiritual journey. My name is Samuel David Sinkin, and in accordance with the Jewish tradition, I am the namesake of my grandfather, who passed away weeks before I was born. I am told that as a newborn, I held my hands the way he used to. I am also told that I may have gotten my passion for religion from him. By the time I got to Oxy, this passion had faded. It was my breakdown, or really my breakthrough, of sophomore year that brought my world to a halt and began a slow reevaluation. I tell people I've been alive for about 3 or so years. I really feel like this is when my life began. It was honestly the most intense experience I have ever had. The experience showed me how fragile our understanding of the world is, and how easy it can be manipulated. It also showed me how powerful our thoughts can be, for both good and bad. There are many ways to look at what happened, such as my past ghosts coming up and overwhelming me. But in the end, it is an experience I am so glad I had. It is the experience that began my current interest and passion for Buddhism, and really, spirituality in general. The beginning of my encounter with Buddhism began with a book on CD. I had decided to return to Oxy, and I needed a book on CD for the road trip out to LA. At the bookstore, I kept coming past this one book on CD titled Anger. I read the back, and it had this extremely weird name on it. It was Thich Nhat Hanh, and the subject note on it said, Spirituality / Buddhism. Well, I was not interested in spirituality, and Buddhism was some weird Eastern thing with orange-robed bald monks. Not for me. And really, I wasn't angry. Side note, I was, and I still am angry. So I put it back, and well, about the 4th time I picked it up, I decided, well, shoot, I might as well get it and have my aunt buy it. I can't seem to leave it on the shelf. The teachings in this book blew me away. This is the first time I remember trusting my gut and letting go to the unknown. The other thing that happened was that I started finding feathers in strange places, such as on the bottom level of a parking structure. Each time I felt a feather, I felt a little jolt in my heart. I found a Buddhist class that was overfull, but somehow an email to the professor got me in the class with no struggle. Then I left an unhealthy relationship, and when I went to grab my things from her apartment, I jumped over the banister, and in the grass where I landed, there were 20 or 30 feathers scattered, all right there. I felt this wave of joy in my heart, and I felt this synchronicity to life that I had never felt before. Things did not seem like total individualistic chaos. I drove home yelling along with some songs, with tears of joy streaming down my face. This encounter with feathers began my understanding of synchronicity in life. One can interpret this in various ways. It could be an idea that our mind and expectations create our reality in connected ways, or that divinity acts in the world, making it so everything happens for a reason. Regardless, I believe it is important to embrace the notion that there is more going on than is readily and commonly assumed. I now believe that somehow there is an energy connecting us and acting through the world. These events of synchronicity have a mystical dimension to them. They ignited my passion to develop my spirituality. However, when I started out, I was slightly dogmatic and judgmental on myself. I was critical of what I was doing and thought I should not even go out and have a drink. I'm in college, come on. After some time, I compensated in the other direction by just saying, screw it. I should let go, not be attached. I mean, that fits with Buddhism, you know, let go. When this happened, I went too far in the lax direction, picking up smoking and drinking again. There is a passage from Shogam Trungpa's book, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, which helps illustrate the balance one tries to get between discipline and letting go. He tells about the Buddha giving a teaching to a famous sitar player who wanted to study meditation. The musician asked, "Should I control my mind or should I completely let go?" The Buddha answered, "Since you are a great musician, tell me how you would tune the strings of your instrument." The musician said, "I would like to make them not too tight and not too loose." "Likewise," said the Buddha, "in your meditation practice, you should not impose anything too forcefully on your mind, nor should you let it wander." Trungpa continues, "That is the teaching of letting the mind be in a very open way, of feeling the flow of energy without trying to subdue it and without letting it get out of control, of going with the energy pattern of mind. This is meditation practice." I've come to believe that meditation or prayer is not meant to be an escape from the world, but is a tool to help one be present and contemplative to what happens to oneself throughout the day. Gandhi once said, "Today, I have many important things to do, so I will meditate twice as long." I believe this is because meditation helps one to find his center. In other words, when one is balanced between letting go and discipline, one can live and affect the world in beautiful ways, similar to the way Gandhi did. My experience with this has ranged from being a lackadaisical pothead to being dogmatically idealistic about acting good. Most recently, I've really thought about truth and how I was looking for the answer to life, so I could just be finished. It is like finishing a big project and realizing, now what? In reality, the experience was in the doing and not the finishing. Excuse the cliche. I feel like truth works something like this. Life for me has been in the questions, and then the beautiful moments where I felt like I had figured it all out. Then moments, days, or weeks later, the realization comes that there was so much more I had not figured out, including and especially the thing I thought I had just figured out. I have tried to figure out what is false in life, but false is a funny word, because it refers to the search for what is true and what is truth. The idea of absolute right and wrong ruins the core of religious teachings, in my opinion. There is a great Zen saying, "To point at the moon, a finger is needed, but woe to those who take the finger for the moon." I love this quote because it reminds me that religion helps point to something like the divine. It also reminds me to be humble and realize the danger in fingering the truth. When I forget this, I allow my passion for what I believe is right to become self-righteousness. This will never work. Thich Nhat Hanh says it well, "Peace is every step." For me, I respond to this human tendency of rigid definition of truth by trying always to be open and understanding, embracing the notion that people, including myself, can change. I think it is so important to have wonder in awe. If we have a closed view of the world, how can we be awed? I think openness allows one to experience the divinity of life. Seemingly small moments can completely change the way one sees a situation, oneself, others, or even the world. I'm trying to work on acting from my heart. I strive to bring attention to my heart in any given situation. I notice that when I am acting less selfishly and with more trust, my heart feels open and without boundaries. On the other hand, when I'm angry or spiteful, I feel like my heart is closed. My body tenses and establishes its presence. I think this is because to act in anger, we have to feel ourselves and feel self-righteous that another has hurt us. When we act open, akin to the limitless idea of what God speaks to, we act in ways that surprise ourselves. I continually try to act from a place of my heart where it is open and giving. I hope that all of us can try to do that and remember that God, Yahweh, Allah, the Tao, point at a limitless unity where harmony and love exists. I hope to play a part in that unity and act from that open place. May you all be well and happy.